and welcome. Yes, sad to say, the beta is over. Now we must wait. But luckily, it's not too long. Got under, 20 days now? So, that being said, I wanted to give some of my thoughts on where the druid was. Now, before I jump into that, I did have a chance to play all the other classes, and I'll give you my thoughts on that. But real quick, make sure to smash that like and follow button, as it does help out the channel, and I do greatly appreciate it. Without you guys, I wouldn't be able to do this. So, to real quick touch on the other classes, I felt all around, all classes felt good. I didn't think any one of them was lacking in one spot or another. Sure, there are some tweaks could be made, but all in all, I think we're in a good spot. I think the game feels really good, and I really can't wait to jump into it. That being said, with my druid, I was running pet build with pulverize. I didn't have landslide at first. I was using cyclone armor just for the damage reduction, kind of helped out a little bit. I would suggest that when you're first starting out, just because you don't have the gear until you start to get geared up. I wouldn't transition over to having more damage. Between pulverize and landslide, I know there's a lot of people out there saying that landslide is still one of the better ones to go with. I just don't feel like it hits enough targets. Whereas my pulverized, yes, I have to wait every 12 seconds for it to overpower, but even when it's not overpowered, I'm still doing 300 or so. You can see it on screen right now. I'm usually healthy. It's very rare that at this point in my build that I drop down below healthy, but still hitting for around 300 a pop to everybody in the area. If they're not an elite, most likely they're going to be almost dead, or if not dead, and my wolves are there to finish it off. That's what they're there for. Because I'm always trying to make sure I hit with Storm Strike to make sure they get that I'm either immobilized or vulnerable. And after that point, smash, wolves take out the rest. You know what I mean? I mean, right there you can see they just took that boss out in one jump, almost all of his health. I want to say I did 25% of the damage, they took the rest. But to go over the build a little bit, start off here, we have the headpiece. This one gives me the barrier, basically absorbs 240 damage. This was very key in making sure I was survivable, especially against like a Shava and other things. If you go on down to the pants, this one, I kind of slept on this one a little bit, and even when I was theory crafting, I saw it and I was like, yeah, heal for so much, blah, blah, blah. I didn't think it was that good. But when you get into those large crowds, or even when there's a boss round, I mean, it's 8 health every second, you're just healing. That keeps you at healthy and allowed me to keep my pulverize overpower up. So once I got that and stopped, sleeping on it, it really started to help. So I would highly suggest that, even if it's just like starting out, it's something to keep your eye on and, try it, see if it helps. Next up, we have our hands. This is one, I got this shortly before making this video. Pulverize was good. Like, it worked really well with my build. This just took it up a notch, as legendaries do. But this was really nice. I rolled really good on it. I feel, it's just nice to have that extra damage on there and have it running right there. Next up is going to be the weapon. So this one I went ahead and printed myself. So I was originally sleeping on this one as well, because I stopped reading at distance. Rather than read the whole thing, I was like, oh, it's just for distance, so I don't care what it does for people at distance. Most people didn't live. It has an 8% chance to stun them, right? The second part I'm interested in. You deal 56% increased damage to stunned enemies. Now, whenever I would hit the ground with my pulverize and I see that they were stunned, especially on, say, like a boss, I would use my landslide. With the crit aspect on there and the terra motes that I build up from, stunning and immobilizing people anyway, it was devastating at that point. Those two combined, fantastic. Another thing I want to point out is the basic skill damage that I have, the gems at the bottom of there. So I was having a problem with Storm Strike. I didn't initially like it because I always felt like the damage was low on it. It was super effective for the build, so I was using it. With that on there, took it up. I mean, it's an extra 22.5% damage. on just my regular old melee. And you can see, like, if you watch as I'm swinging in there, it does a really decent amount of damage. It's just super useful. Just keep that in mind when you're running around out there. I mean, that would work for any class, really. Next up, we got our neck piece, which is while barrier is active, there's a 15% chance to ignore incoming direct damage from distance enemies, which is helpful for when I'm engaging a large crowd and you've got, especially in this dungeon here, the bats, the vampire bat guys are dashing off and they're casting on me from a distance. It's nice to know that there's a chance that I might just not take that damage. So again, just trying to make ourselves beefier so we can get our pets in there and deal some damage. Ring number 1. This one is why I started using Landslide. When I got this, I was like, all right, let me give it a try again. I'm a little bit higher. We'll give it a shot. It did have some nice buffs on it, damage over time, which is good for poison from the Vine Creeper and then critical strike chance. So overall, it turned out really well. I do still feel like without having that early on, Landslide just didn't feel that good to me. Because in there, you see I just used it. It hit for it crit for 326. And yeah, I have to wait for my overpower, but when it crits, it does double that. Or it does that normal damage in an area. And you have to pay, essentially the difference between them, you have to pay 5 more spirit for pulverize, but you're hitting probably 3 times the amount of people. And the damage and spirit cost overall, I feel like is worth that price. Because if I can get them all gripped up together, I mean, you can see if you watch on screen, I hit for 500, 600, 700. There's even been occasions where I topped out. I think I topped it out at about 1200. But that was when I had a mob who was vulnerable, I think slowed, and then I smashed and overpowered. Ta-da. So, with that, we move on to ring number 2. This one I didn't have a chance to use a lot of. It just had some nice bonuses. It was better than what I was currently using. I didn't use Earth Spike. I didn't find that it was super helpful. I did try out this node, but again, not really fond of it. But it was helpful. And then last but not least was the last 2 pieces I was using. These were just yellows because I didn't have anything better to use. But they did have, my max evade charge went up. I did get a bonus to Habilitating Roar. All in all, I really did enjoy Druid this round. I thought the buffs they did to him was really, really helpful. Just to let you see here, this is all the gear and everything put together. You see I got an attack power of 402. My armor is 1600. A little bit over 400 life. So, all in all, I felt like it was a really strong build. I feel like the Druid's in a good spot. All the classes really in a good spot. The game feels really good. And I can't wait for the release. Yeah, I'm looking forward to jumping in this with you guys and just enjoying some Diablo goodness. Now, without further ado, I do have a special video for you guys. As you guys can see, I happened to run across the butcher. I figured, hey, I've got my recording stuff set up. Let's see what we can do with this build. Without further ado, I'll let you guys enjoy the result.